BodyBags, where horror lies.
Welcome back to BodyBags. This is week number 365. I'll be your host, Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and we have a theme week. And our theme is the legendary director, Rollin. And this week I picked one of his more popular films, Requiem for a Vampire. Now, Requiem for a Vampire came out in 1971, and it has a runtime of approximately 84 minutes. Now, 1971 was the year I was born, so it was interesting to watch this film again. I have seen it before. Now, unfortunately, this is going to be a shorter review, and I'll explain why. Now, Requiem for a Vampire was written and directed by Rollin, who unfortunately passed away on December 15th, 2010, at the age of 72. He was responsible for Two Orphan Vampires, Dracula's Fiancé, which I believe a friend of mine is doing, and Sidewalks of Bangkok, among many, many others. Now, this is where it gets kind of complicated because pronouncing French names. Of course, he was French, or still is French, and I do have a problem pronouncing French names. Now, this stars Marie-Pierre Castel as Marie. She was in Lips of Blood, Shiver of the Vampire, which is also a popular one from him, and The Nude Vampire. And Muriel Dargent as Michelle. She was also in Lips of Blood. I have a problem with this one. I don't know why. The D-Maniacs? Something like that. And The Iron Rose. Now, this follows the story of Marie and Michelle. In the beginning, they are dressed up as clowns. They have a guy driving a getaway car. They never really say what they're fleeing from, which I thought was kind of weird. But they're being chased by the police. They're getting shot at. They're shooting out the back window. It's basically a chase scene. The driver ends up getting shot. They do lose the police. He ends up passing away. And the two girls start making their way. I'm not really sure where they're going. They end up in a graveyard for a little while, sleeping in a grave. They end up at a castle, ultimately. Now, the reason why this is going to be kind of a short review is because there literally is no dialogue for the first 41 minutes of the film. And of course, the runtime is only 84 minutes. I actually timed it, because I have seen this before. Now, as I said, they end up in a castle, and the castle is inhabited by a vampire, his lover, and a bunch of minions who take women down to the basement or the dungeon and torture them and rape them and do all sorts of fun things. From there, the girls are said to have been turned, they have been bitten, and they have to stay virgins, which I find that kind of hard to believe because there is a lesbian scene before that. So, yeah. There's a few things in this movie that have always confused me, and I'll explain that in a little bit, but suffice it to say, their job, while they're still mortal, is to bring back people for the vampire to drain, for him to get nourishment. Since they have to be virgins, they lose their virginity and figure that it's going to break the spell. And I'm going to kind of leave it there. There was a little bit more to it, but I pretty much gave you the gist of the film. Now, here's some of the things that confused me. The first time I saw this film, I thought that the two girls, Marie and Michelle, were vampires. And the reason being, and I think I understand it now, but it's not very clear from the film, is when the guy dies that is driving the getaway car, they kind of have a scene where they're watching him die and the blood coming out of him, and they kind of, how can I put this? They kind of come towards him, and then it shows them retreating from him, and it looks like one of the girls has blood on her lips. So I had assumed that they were vampires all along. Apparently not. But that's what happens when you don't have dialogue for the first 41 minutes of the film. Another thing that confused me is that their first stop on this jaunt through the on the way to the castle is a graveyard where they are sleeping in a grave site, basically, together. Didn't really understand that either, since that's kind of what vampires do. Also, the vampires can come out during the day, I do believe, in this one. I'm trying to remember, because it's been a while since I watched this. But I know that they have a special person that is kind of their manager. She is the one that basically tells the girls what's going to happen to them and what their job is for the vampires. But yeah, this has a gothic feel to it, of course, when they get to the castle. It still has that 70s plush velvet cheese to it. I guess that's what I'll call it. But all in all, this is a really fun watch. Gene Rollin is an acquired taste. I will say that, in my opinion, he is an acquired taste. I've seen several of his films. My favorite happens to be one that another BodyBags person is doing called The Living Dead Girl. But I've seen quite a few of his films. Now, at first, they seem basically like porn and a little bit of horror. But I guess that's what they consider to be art, I guess. I don't know. All in all, this is a pretty good watch. I can definitely recommend this one. Like I said, my favorite is The Living Dead Girl, but this one is good as well. This is one of his more well-known films, along with The Grapes of Wrath and Rape of the Vampire, Shiver of the Vampire, stuff like that. So, but yeah, don't forget to check out everyone else in BodyBags. And if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.